In this podcast episode, Joe Rogan interviews David Paulides, a former law enforcement officer and author known for his research into mysterious disappearances, particularly in U.S. national parks. Their wide-ranging conversation covers unexplained missing persons cases, alleged government obstruction, paranormal phenomena including UFOs, alien abductions, Bigfoot encounters, indigenous lore, and altered states of consciousness influenced by psychedelic experiences. Throughout, Paulides shares chilling stories and anecdotal evidence challenging conventional explanations of disappearances and touches on cutting-edge theories of space, time, and reality. David Paulides explains how his investigation into unusual disappearances began during field research at Yosemite National Park. Rangers approached him, concerned by the frequency of missing persons cases that received little to no follow-up after initial investigations. They described frustration over withheld reports through Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) requests and a lack of sustained search efforts beyond the first couple of weeks. Paulides highlights how this systemic negligence, whether due to lack of resources or other reasons, sparked his deeper inquiry into these cases. One of the earliest and most disturbing cases Paulides investigated involved a teenage girl, Stacy Irwin, who vanished without a trace during a family trip to Yosemite over 40 years ago. Despite a large search effort, no evidence was found aside from a lost camera lens cap. His attempts to obtain the official investigation report through FOIA were repeatedly blocked by park officials, citing ongoing law enforcement proceedings, even decades later. This obstruction extended to a refusal to release comprehensive lists of missing persons across national parks, sometimes demanding exorbitant fees. Paulides suspects deliberate suppression of information, hinting at a cover-up or bureaucratic stonewalling. Paulides shares several bizarre cases that defy rational explanation. One involved a Canadian firefighter who disappeared during a ski trip in New York, only to reappear 2,500 miles away in California with no memory of how he got there. Canine tracking often fails in such cases. Dogs brought in repeatedly fail to pick up scents or behave erratically, contrary to their training. This paradox raises questions about whether missing persons simply vanish or are moved by unknown forces. Exploring the darker side of disappearances, Paulides discusses stories of abductees with memory loss, suggesting the involvement of non-human entities who manipulate human minds to erase traumatic knowledge. He speculates about extraterrestrial or interdimensional entities performing scientific examinations of humans and animals, drawing parallels with mainstream animal research. These beings might manipulate space-time, freezing moments, or transporting individuals vast distances instantaneously, as seen in the account of a hunter named Carl from Wyoming, who claimed to have been taken aboard an alien craft, healed of ailments, and returned mysteriously. Paulides elaborates on how abductee reports often include elements of suspended or manipulated time and space. He references UFO sightings where objects seemingly freeze animals in place before abducting them, and claims multiple hunters of elk, an animal frequently targeted in such accounts, have vanished without trace. This space-time control theory also aligns with reported phenomena such as portals or dimensional openings witnessed at notorious locations like Skinwalker Ranch. Shifting the discussion toward cryptids, Paulides delves into his research on Bigfoot, funded by private investigators who shared personal sightings and physical evidence like unidentified hair samples that DNA analyses show do not match any known species. These creatures leave unique footprints with dermal ridges, indicating biological authenticity. He notes that no dead bodies of Bigfoot have ever been found and theorizes cryptids may be interdimensional entities, able to vanish or evade detection technologically or psychically. Paulides emphasizes that many Native American tribes do not view Bigfoot as an animal, but as a human-like, perhaps star-born entity with which they have traded or coexisted for centuries. He references historical press coverage and traditional stories portraying Bigfoot as an intelligent, pedal being distinct from known wildlife. This tribal perspective challenges the mainstream ape hypothesis and supports a more complex understanding involving unknown origins, possibly extraterrestrial or spiritual. The conversation explores how psychedelics, especially naturally occurring mushrooms, affect human perception of little people elves, or other beings, potentially aligning with ancient mythologies and contemporary visions. Paulides discusses a particular mushroom species inducing universal visions of tiny humanoids, raising questions about whether these are hallucinations or glimpses into a hidden reality. He connects this phenomenon to cultural symbols such as Santa Claus and red and white mushrooms, suggesting ancient links between mysticism and natural psychedelics. Paulides and Rogan reflect on quantum mechanics, the observer effect, and theories proposing that consciousness may shape reality. They entertain the possibility that humans are part of a simulation or entangled web of consciousness, and that abilities like telepathy or instantaneous travel might one day be scientifically explained. These speculations tie back to the phenomena of missing persons, UFOs, and cryptid encounters as clues to a layered, complex reality far beyond conventional understanding. Discussing his visits and interviews at Skinwalker Ranch, Paulides describes bizarre phenomena, including orbs entering homes, entities following investigators back to their residences, and sightings of shadowy figures moving through dimensional portals. He relates interviews with former law enforcement assigned to investigate Bigfoot and UFO activity on Navajo lands, who encountered inexplicable behavior such as single-file, precisely spaced footprints and strong associations between sightings of Bigfoot and unidentified aerial phenomena. Paulides details the controversial work of Dr. Melba Ketchum, who analyzed numerous hair samples purportedly from Bigfoot and found mitochondrial DNA related to humans but nuclear DNA unlike any known species. While mainstream science criticizes her methods and results, accusing contamination and poor testing, Paulides defends her work and repeats claims that independent labs replicated findings, but that the Bigfoot community failed to pursue further research due to politics and skepticism. Russian scientists, he says, have long studied a Bigfoot-like creature called Almasty and reached similar conclusions. Referencing recent media coverage, Paulides discusses reports of multiple non-human species recovered from crashed UFOs and held secretly by government agencies. He mentions the slow, reluctant declassification efforts and institutional resistance to releasing information on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and extraterrestrial intelligence. These include mentions of reptilian beings, Nordic aliens, and the classic gray alien archetype, feeding into a larger narrative of hidden truths and classified agendas. Turning to a concrete example, Paulides recounts the disappearance of Gilbert Gilman, a former military intelligence officer and linguist who vanished in Olympic National Park under suspicious circumstances. Family members reveal FBI searches of his residence under mysterious pretexts and removal of handwritten notes in Arabic, implying governmental interest. This case, unlike others, suggests clandestine abductions or disappearances tied to intelligence work or covert operations rather than natural or paranormal phenomena. Paulides recounts the story of Kenneth Arnold and the original flying saucer sightings near Mount Rainier, linking it to a concurrent marine transport crash that was mysteriously unrecovered. He notes that Mount Rainier and nearby Mount Baker continue to be hotspots for unexplained aerial activity connected to numerous unexplained disappearances, especially affecting hikers and casual visitors who leave no trace behind. Paulides shares anecdotes of his own sightings of orbs and UFOs and discusses the prevalence of hoaxes and advanced video effects complicating public understanding. He highlights genuine photographic evidence of phenomena such as Bigfoot disappearing into thin air, recorded by reputable individuals like Scott Carpenter. Paulides is cautious but convinced of the authenticity of many such occurrences. The episode touches on extraordinary communication methods attributed to alien or cryptid entities, primarily telepathic mind speak, which transcends spoken language. He posits that advanced non-human visitors might use this as a form of interaction. This psychic element also extends to subtle psychic hitchhiker effects experienced by those investigating such phenomena, sometimes bringing seemingly benign but persistent entity presence into personal life. Rogan and Paulides discuss their experiences with psychedelic substances like DMT and ayahuasca, describing encounters with mysterious geometric beings and gesture-like entities that convey cryptic messages. They analyze the biological origin of DMT in the human brain its ancient use in shamanic cultures, and its potential to open windows to alternate realities or dimensions. These experiences underscore the episode's broader theme of blurred boundaries between objective reality and perception. Throughout the episode, Paulides emphasizes indigenous knowledge and respect traditional narratives, indicating ongoing interaction with non-human entities. Native American stories of beings arriving from the stars, trading with tribes, and embodying otherworldly intelligence challenge popular depictions of cryptids solely as animals, presenting a richer, more complex cultural understanding. The discussion weaves in advanced scientific ideas such as quantum entanglement, superposition, and retrocausality, where observation can affect past events. Paulides uses these concepts to contemplate the nature of missing persons phenomena and paranormal experiences, suggesting reality itself may be malleable and that unseen dimensions or forces influence human experience. Repeated frustrations with government agencies refusing to release information, conducting covert extractions, or suppressing evidence are highlighted. Paulides shares skepticism over official explanations for disappearances, noting how many missing persons are vanished quietly without follow-up, hinting at systemic concealment motivated by power, secrecy, or control. Finally, Paulides reflects on the enormous complexity of the world, acknowledging that many mysteries defy simple rational understanding. The interplay of human belief systems, cultural archetypes, advanced sciences, and personal experiences presents a multifaceted tapestry that challenges fixed notions of reality, inviting curiosity, humility, and continued exploration.